Robert, your men's distance team looks particularly loaded. Can you kind of evaluate what their potential is this year?
Our distance team is exactly what you just said. If you look at cross country, I'm sure we'll be led by Edward and Eric. We have some newcomers there with Will and Johnny. So those guys are talented transfers in. Of course, as the women, we add a couple of people there. You've seen Waverly there in cross country. You'll see her again. Another name there on the distance side and the women's side is Katie Parada. So all those are new faces for us. But our men's distance teams will definitely be where we bank on and count on to get some of our points as well as the rest of our squad.
Last year you had a couple of key performers at the indoor meet, people like Cabral and Jasmine Todd, who were injured at the end of the outdoor season. You know, what's their status going into this indoor season?
Jonathan has a little bit of work to do to kind of get back into the flow of things, but Jasmine is fine. She's healthy. She had a little ding there in her toe, but she's been training fine all year long, and we look forward to her doing bigger and better things come this indoor season.
Mary Beth as well?
Mary Beth as well. She was banged up a little bit there outdoors, but she's been training phenomenal this year.
One more injury, and then I'll be off the injuries. But what about Devonality? Were you anticipating getting much from him for the indoor season?
We were actually going to try to bring him along there. Of course, you get into a little bit of things there with spring ball and then giving them some downtime, and then the indoor season for us goes by so quick. You know, there's only 4 or 5 competitions that we have there. So we were definitely looking at him running some indoor meets just the same as he ran 1 or 2 last year, and it's just a matter of where he showed up on the national list. You know, indoors is a little more difficult. It's almost like the college football playoffs. When I say that, there's a straight 16. They take the 16 best people in the country and they take them to nationals, and those people go head up against each other. You know, a little different outdoors where you go on the West region, and if you're in the top 12 in your event, you advance. So indoors is definitely a hard team to make at nationals.
You have some guys to replace in Fleet and in Mike Berry. Do you look at replacing people in those particular events, or do you say, well, hey, we can get points elsewhere? It looks like your throwers are stronger than usual this year. Is that how you try to replace the points that those guys were able to get you?
Yeah, when you say replacement, that's probably a mouthful. I don't know how you replace those guys. Mac Fleet, a 2-time national champion, Mike Berry, a umpteen-time All-American, as well as those Phyllis Francis and Laura Races on the women's side. I don't know if it's possible to replace those kids as far as what they bring to our program, and especially what they bring to the national meets. But like I said earlier, we have some talented newcomers. We have also some talented transfers, and we'll look to see if they can fill in some of those voids.
Talk about some of the, especially on the women's side, just some of these newcomers, some of the freshmen.
Oh, gosh.
You got great freshmen last year when you had Wallace perform well, and Jasmine obviously was a redshirt freshman. She was important for you guys. Anybody out of that group that you can look at and be like, yeah, those will be just the same?
Those same kids you just talked about there. Wallace, we look to see her do bigger and better things. Jasmine, which we referenced earlier, you look for her to do good things as well. But those newcomers that are true freshmen here, you have a boatload of those. Like on the women's side, you have a Blake Haney that we'll see to get out and try some new things and see, get his feet wet on the banks. You know, they don't run a lot of indoor track in California, so this will probably be a new experience for him. Staying in California, you got Ariana Washington, who probably doesn't have a lot of experience indoors in the bank tracks and the flat tracks and all the bumping and the physicality that goes along with indoor running. But then you look at the Ashley Moores, the Raven Rogers, those kids that are true freshmen. It's definitely be, of course, an adjustment for them because they usually were playing other sports at this time. And then for them to come and then be only focused on track this time of year, and then of course the new environment and everything being close and the smaller tracks, and like I said, the bumping that goes on in some of those longer races, it'll definitely be exciting to see how they perform.
Ashley gonna do multi-events indoors?
Yeah, she'll probably well, of course she's a multi, so she'll do a little bit of everything.
You mentioned Blake Haney. How has his sort of introduction into the team been so far?
Absolutely awesome. You know, Blake was one of our alternates that we took there to cross country. You know, it was one of those things to where it was a flip of the coin decision whether to run him there at the national meeting cross country. So he's definitely made the transition from high school to college really well, and now we're getting more into his thing. You know, cross country was a little bit of a stretch, especially when you go to and having to run 10K at the national meeting and 8K in regionals in the Pac-12. So to get him more into his niche, his groove, and what he actually knows a lot more about and what he does it'll be a good thing for him.
So he'll probably be running 15.
Yeah, it'll be one of those guys that'll be an alternate for the DMR. You know, Chris talked about our men's team is loaded. It's one of those things to where we have to pick and choose who runs the DMR and then who runs fresh in some of those open events.
And of course, there's obvious talking point. Edward Cheserek, you obviously come in as the favorite for the 5,000 for certain. Are you going to be doubling him a lot, or is it going to be more of a preparatory thing?
Yeah, we'll watch his mileage, just watch not only his mileage but his events like we did last year. He's one of the things where he'll definitely compete in more of our home meets, but we'll kind of watch how we use him so he can definitely be primed and ready for the championship part of the season.
As far as this weekend goes, is this really all about, like you said earlier, seeing the new faces, the new freshmen playing out there, and then having the bets go next week?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where we're tired of practicing against ourselves. We had enough scrimmages, we've had enough time trials, we had enough racing each other in practice, and so to get a chance to go and bump heads in battle with somebody that wears a different jersey than us would be absolutely awesome. So that's the important and exciting thing, to see some of these lessons that we're teaching, some of these techniques that we're preaching and teaching and harping on, see if they can hold and take form when the lights come on.
Anybody redshirting for sure that you can announce?
Not as of right now. It's one of those things to where Nate Moore is another one of those men that are freshman guys. But as of right now, it's kind of one of those wait and see things. Usually we try to reserve that redshirting stuff for injury related stuff, or if they have the potential to not be an impact player right away. Maybe they need some more seasoning, maybe they need some more development, and we'll always keep an eye on that. But for right now, everybody is slated with the go button on them.
So give us a prediction there.
Oh.
University of Oregon, end of the indoor season, you're going to see a repeat?
Ooh, that's probably tough to say. When you lose so much on the men's and women's side, for example, I want to say out of the 44 points that we scored on the women's team, I think we returned 14 or 16 of those points. And so out of the 65 that we scored on the men's, I want to say we returned about 35 of those points. So as you can see, those are large numbers that you're going to have to overcome. So if you ask me and pin me down and say repeat, I would hope that we would stick with our mission statement is for us to be perennial contenders, both cross country, indoor and outdoor, and get a trophy.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.